John Forrest Goosey was born on August 3rd, 1987 in Houston, Texas, to John and Marie Goosey. In 2004, he graduated from Lamar High School, and after this, John attended the University of Houston before transferring to the University of Texas, and this is where he met Stacy Barnett. Stacy Barnett was born on September 5th, 1986. She also attended Lamar High School, but the two didn't become friends until they met again in college. In the summer of 2008, the two began living together at the Preservation Square condominiums. Later that year, in December, John graduated ahead of his class and received his bachelor's degree in history and English. And the next year, in May of 2009, Stacy received her bachelor's in architecture. By this time, the two had been dating for 2 years and had plans to marry. Although John had his degree, he struggled to maintain steady work, but he had plans to go to law school. So to make money, he would regularly redistribute and sell marijuana, which caused problems in the couple's relationship. John dealt marijuana to a man named James Richard Thompson Jr., a 19-year-old high school dropout. He would resell the marijuana he got from John. But in July of 2009, John fronted James a half pound of marijuana. He would return to tell John that he was robbed for the drugs, so John fronted him another half pound. James now owed John $8,500 for the drugs, and after John had tried several times to collect the money, James wanted his debt erased. He enlisted the help of 20-year-old Roy Rennick and 21-year-old Samuel Gifford, and they began to plan the murder of John. James said that if Stacy was there, she would have to die too because she knew who he was. The three men spent 2 days planning the murders. They even rearranged James' apartment to resemble Stacy's apartment, and Roy made a homemade silencer with the gun they planned to use. Roy also told James to spray the bodies with ammonia to get rid of any DNA evidence. On the morning of Tuesday, July 21st, 2009, James placed a call to John, and at 9:50 a.m., he was at the couple's residence at 904 West 21st Street. Once inside, James shot John in the head multiple times. He then went to Stacy and shot her twice in the head. While committing the murders, James was on the phone with Roy so he could hear. James then broke the couple's phones to prevent his calls to John from being traced. And at 10:12 a.m., Roy the getaway driver picked James up. Later that evening, just after 5 p.m., Joyce, Stacy's mother, grew concerned after the couple was supposed to be at their home in Houston hours earlier for her birthday. And when they couldn't get a hold of the couple and didn't hear from them, Joyce called and asked a friend to check on them. And that's when their bodies were discovered less than 24 hours after their deaths. When the police arrived to the scene, they immediately noticed that there was no signs of forced entry. Upon discovering the couple's body, they were quickly able to rule out a murder-suicide and launched the investigation as a double homicide. The investigation revealed that for the past 3 years, John had been a mid-level drug dealer, buying substantial amounts of high-grade marijuana and redistributing it. That night, when the discovery of the bodies was aired on the news, James was at home watching and told a friend that he was the one who had killed them. This led to an anonymous tip that gave additional information to the police that James Thompson Jr. was the last person to call the couple. Acting on this tip, police checked the couple's phone records and discovered that in John's phone, James was the last number to call him. The records also revealed that James had made the calls close to the couple's residence, and this is when police obtained a search warrant for James' residence. And on Friday, July 24th, 2009, they executed the search warrant on James' residence, where they found 4 ounces of marijuana, and he was taken into custody. James automatically admitted to killing the couple before destroying their cell phones. He told police he called John and told him that he had some of the money that he owed him. After he was let in, he shot John downstairs and then went upstairs and shot Stacy. James then implicated Roy and Samuel, stating that on July 19th, they got a .22 caliber pistol from someone Roy knew. They then went to buy supplies to make a silencer. The next day, all 3 men test-fired the gun with the silencer on by firing into a piece of wood. The next morning, he carried out the murders. James also told them after the murders, he and Samuel drove to Mount Bonnell and threw the shell casings and then burned the other evidence near the Loop 360 bridge, and that later he gave both Roy and Samuel a half an ounce of marijuana. On August 3rd, 2010, James Thompson Jr. pled guilty and was sentenced to life in prison with the eligibility for parole in 30 years. And later that month, after more than a year, they charged both Roy Rennick and Samuel Gifford with capital murder. Next year, on April 8th, 2011, both Roy and Samuel pled guilty to double murder. Roy was sentenced to 35 years in prison, and Samuel was given two concurrent 50-year sentences.